Wading into War, Chapter 12. After giving Gardner his instructions, I eased myself out of the booth and walked back to the table. The smell of the beef and sausage was making my mouth water, and I was eager to chomp into that my sandwich. As I neared the table, I stopped dead in my tracks. Lillian was still there, but Captain Oscar Berman was sitting next to her, hands clasped in front of him, his thumbs doing a little dance around each other. For a second or two, I thought about exiting out the back door, but Berman's gaze was fixed on mine. That ended that thought. "Well," he said, a thin smile playing on his lips that didn't reach his eyes, "look what I found here. The elusive Private Dick. I introduced myself to the lady. She has to be your client because she's way out of your league." "I'll decide who's in or out of my league, Captain," Lillian snapped. I appreciated her retort. He didn't. He had lost some of his edge. The smile on his face faltered and vanished. Still, he had me. "Sit down." The authority in his voice prompted me to pull out my chair and comply. We had a staring contest for a few seconds. I lost. "May I said, indicating my sandwich. The smile returned. "By all means. It'll be the last good sandwich you have for a long time." I lost my appetite as my stomach flipped. I thought I knew what he meant, but wanted him to say it. To appear nonchalant, I took a bite out of the sandwich. The usual hot and sweet tang of the sauce tasted bland. "We found another body at the crime scene," Berman said, leaning back in his chair. "Know anything about that?" Something nagged at the back of my mind. How had Berman found me? I would have sworn I had lost the tail when we fled the crime scene. I said nothing, just kept chomping at my sandwich. "Must be a good sandwich," he said. "I've had a few here myself. Bubba's a friend of mine. Helps me see things I don't normally see." He grinned like a teacher who had just instructed the pupil. "Maybe I ought to order one. That one's so good it made you lose your voice." He arched an eyebrow. I chewed and stared at him. "I haven't lost my voice." "Not much to say." I didn't risk a glance at Lillian. "What?" Berman said. "I just accused you of murder." "No, you didn't," I said. "You asked if I knew anything about a dead body at one of your crime scenes. How many crimes have happened in this town over the past few days? I wasn't sure which one you meant." He pursed his lips. "You're being cute." "That's what the ladies at the dance halls call me. Glad you agree." In my peripheral vision, I saw Lillian crack a smile. She reached out and slid her untouched bottle of beer over in front of Berman. "You might need this one more than I do." He ignored her. Only half of Berman's face smiled. "I see you're a joker." He stuck a finger at me. "You know damn well what crime scene I'm talking about. The one you were at today." My thoughts went back to the events of the last 12 hours and the number of crime scenes I had witnessed. Being shot at, being attacked, being kidnapped by American agents, being accosted by a man who was likely a Nazi sympathizer, being chased by those same folks, and finally getting a front row seat for the death of the man who tried to kill me. Sure, I had been to many crime scenes today. I was ready to stop seeing them. "Oh, that one." I took another huge chomp out of the sandwich. My cool demeanor shattered when I realized that I had the sauce dribbling down my chin. "I was there today." "You know I was." "But did you go back?" "Anyone see me go back?" Berman shook his head. "I ain't helping you with this. I can bring you in right now just on suspicion." "You don't want to do that." "Why not?" I glanced at Lillian, then back at Berman. "Because I know who killed the man at the crime scene." Berman leaned back, not sure what to say next. "You see him in the mirror, right?" I thought back to the image of the man's face, half covered in shadow, the look of pure hate in his eyes as I cowered with nowhere to run. Yeah, I'd seen him in the mirror from now on, probably in my dreams, too. "No," I said. "I didn't." Berman smirked. "Okay, wise guy. But know this. It's only a matter of time before we dig out those slugs from the wall and the corpse. We're going to run ballistics on them, and then start seeing if we can find a match in the books. We might even ask them folks for samples of bullets fired from their guns. He leaned on one elbow and gave me the stare that had withered so many criminals in the interrogation room. If I ask for a sample from your gun, do you think it would match? I tried very hard to maintain my outwardly cool demeanor. I picked up the Lone Star and drank off a third. Berman's reputation was legendary and came with more than a grain of truth. His eyes, dark as ebony, bore into me. My stomach sank. I needed a few minutes to think. The beer was already turning warm in the humid evening. I replaced the bottle on the exact same ring of condensation that had already formed at the table. From the rear of the restaurant, the payphone rang. I gave Berman another stare. I hoped it was hard. I waited to see if Bubba called my name. Sure enough, he did. Berman said, "Expecting a call?" I stood, picked up my beer by the neck, and let it dangle between my fingers. Depending on what the caller has to say, we might all be getting some good news.